Quick disclaimer, I am only 20 years of age. Do not take my word as testament. I do not know everything. I don't claim to know everything. Always approach an adult or an agent. I am just Jack. Hi. Hello. My name is Jack Igo and I am a creator for Team Serenity. What I do normally is I cast events, but before that, I was a manager. A Fortnite manager is that. As cringe as that sounds, I was a Fortnite / general manager and I played a part in business with with two really big teams at that. And I had an awful lot of fun doing so as well. What this video is here to do is to tell you what to do when you don't know what to do. Not everyone gets an offer from a business, from an org. But when you do, how should you act? What should you do? I'm going to try and give you the best advice I possibly can and maybe give you an insight into read into the offer itself. Step 1, without a doubt. Whenever you get DM'd by a team, talk to your parents. Get a parent involved, an adult. Get an adult involved who can read into your offer and can help you out, especially if you are below the age of 18. That's a huge step. Get an adult involved. If you're over the age of 18, there are a few individuals that you can contact who would have all the information you need and can help you along the way. I'm going to leave a link to one in the description. I believe Oliver is his name. Follow that guy. He's going to have the info you need if you're above the age of 18. And even if you're below the age of 18 and it's a big money offer, that's the guy you want to DM. First step would be to always remember that in negotiations, when they DM you first, you have the bargaining power. You have full control over that negotiation. Your decision is pretty much what changes everything. If a team comes to you with an offer, you can deny it instantly and you can counteract that offer for the same reason. You have the bargaining power. That's also why you should never grind for a team or make it publicly known that you would go to such a team, because then they know that there's so many concessions that you're willing to make. Always make sure you have the upper hand and have that bargaining power. Remember that, because that's going to be so important when it comes down to the nitty gritty and when you have to talk cash. Another tip I'm always going to Another tip I'm always going to say is to never accept the first offer. Never ever accept the first offer. Every single person who goes into a negotiation is going to have a certain amount that they're willing to offer, and they're never going to start with that amount. Say, for example, I was given by Team Serenity, for example, leeway of €1,000 to offer for, I don't know, literally, Joshua as a Fortnite player. Yeah, I don't know about that either, but you get the point. If I was to straight up offer him 1,000, why would I sell myself short like that when I could still try and get him for less than that? What you always want to do is try and bump up piece by piece and get as many perks along the way as you can. So always decline the first offer and counter for a higher amount. They are never going to offer their highest amount from the get-go. That much is for sure. Percentages are not a bad thing, especially when you're in the low end of Fortnite, when you're being offered £150, £200. Percentages are not a bad thing, even if it's up to something like 10%. It is not a bad thing. On 10%, if you want to talk about earning £500 from a good tournament, you get half of that goes on, half it goes on Epic Games Tax, or 30%. So 30% of 500 is something around €160, leaves you with 340. 10% of that is 34. You're still left with over 300 quid and your salary on top of that. Percentages are not a bad thing. Don't convince yourself that they are. Don't listen to those Fortnite kids who cry their eyes out because, they'd rather have an offer of 200 than 1,005. It's happened. I saw it happen in action. It's cringeworthy. Don't value your earnings so much. Value what you really are worth and how much you're going to get in the long run and what's going to kind of pit itself better against the other. Now, this step I'm going to show, and it's going to be a little bit harder because sometimes it's going to include teams that you've never heard of. So I'm going to try and show you what I can and how I think I can help that. Step 1. If you've never heard of the team and they're offering you money, make sure they have business information, a full business address, or, well, alongside with that, a full business number, business ID, VAT registration, anything like that. Make sure they have all of that info ready and on hand so you are ready, and I mean ready to rumble, because you're going to do some research. What you can see here, pardon the green screen, I suppose it's a little bit darker here on this side of the screen, so obviously, it's just here, looks a little bit shit. But what you can see on your screen now is just what I'm looking at. It is the Californian Business Registry. So if, for example, I got offered by this team called FaZe, I have no idea who they are. You find their jurisdiction being the area they're from. If it's the US, you have to find the definite state. So for example here, I have California. I see, okay, FaZe is a team I want to search. Corporation name. I hit search. I know I have to have a look. Now, me being me, I know that Lee Trink is the CEO of FaZe, and they have the jurisdiction of Delaware here for FaZe Clan Incorporated. There you have all of your information. You have all of this mailing address, all of this mailing info ready and at hand and at your disposal. So you're able to, and I mean quote unquote, take them to court if you have been put in a situation where you don't have the money that you were owed. That's a big part. Always make sure you have the business information, because normally in a contract they will give you that they'll have their compensation. They'll tell you how much you're going to be owed, how much you have to pay back in a percentage, but you need to make sure you have that business information ready if that goes tits up. This step here is to know your worth. If a team is to approach you, always try and assess their situation, because if a team has less than 1,000 followers, for example, and you are bringing a big community with you, you have to take into account that your community is just that bit bigger and contributes to such a bigger scene. You're going to be boosting up their stats, padding their stats. You're going to be giving them such an advantage. So you want to make sure you are compensated duly for that. If you want to look in the wider scheme of things, always, always, always make sure that you are not the focus point. Because if you are the focus point of the entire org, you want to make sure you're the highest paid person within that team, and by a stretch. The only reason I say to avoid it is because most teams will be, a bit of, what's the word I'll use? Hesitant. They'll be hesitant to make that move, hesitant to pay you what you're really due. But that's where you have to know your worth. Always make sure you're demanding what you mean to the team. It doesn't mean what you mean as regards esports. It means what you mean as regards the team. Your stats can make or break a deal, make or break a partnership, make or break a sponsorship. Know your worth. Now, with that, there's no guarantee on a person's price. You have to value your own work and what you think of it. If you find that how do I put this? There's no chart for how much X, Y, and Z is worth. But you have to kind of take into account the audience and what you bring and what you really do offer to a team. So you can say, oh, I'm worth £200 because I am a Twitch partner, I have 10k YouTube subs, and I've got 3k PR from, I don't know, fucking Frosty Frenzy. You get the point. It's you can say you're worth that much, doesn't necessarily mean anything if you don't complement the stats or pad impressions or pad interactions with that team. The team are all about that, because that's the only way that team is really going to be making profit. Also worth noting, a team is only going to make profit from sponsorships and partnerships. They're not going to profit by taking percentages alone. If you are a team or a business at that, and you think the only way you are going to profit as a business form as a whole is by taking percentages, you're fucking stupid. Thank you very much. Now, this step is the most important step of all. And it's something you really need to consider, because a lot of players and a lot of young lads get the wrong idea. You don't need a team. You, as a creator, as an individual, as a player, will never need a team, unless it's in a team game as such, like a Valorant, different story. But you, as a creator, as an individual in the Fortnite scene, do not need a team. Not at all. Not one bit. A team needs you. That's why you will have that upper hand. That's why you'll be in an advantageous position when it comes to negotiations. You are always going to be in power. You have to remember that. That is so important. But you do not need to join a team. Even if they lowball your offer, if they lowball you and they aren't willing to compromise, don't accept the lowball offer just because it's an offer from a team. You decline that shit. Get the fuck out of there. Put your hands in the air and go, lol, no thank you. It's ridiculous, the amount of times you'll see it as well, where players will just move on in and sign to a team purely for the sake of having a name beside theirs. Don't do it. Don't do it. That can be more damaging and can do more damage than it can good to both your brand and to theirs. Be sensible, use common sense, don't sign to a team unless you really, really need to. When you get the actual contract or an offer like that, there's a few steps to take. One should always be go to a parent, another go to an agent / lawyer who know what they're fucking talking about. Please God. Don't go to a random 15-year-old Fortnite manager. They do not know. If you are older than a certain person, if you are, say, 17 and a 15-year-old Fortnite manager says he can help, just remember that Fortnite manager has no idea but knows who to go to. You always, always, always prioritize yourself. Show a lawyer, show a parent, show a person with knowledge. Please God, avoid children for that matter. Don't use these underage agents and managers. It's not worth it. They will damage your brand in the long run. You have to trust me on that. Very few have saved people's brands while being under the age of 18. So, in an actual contract, there's a few different pieces that you can look out for. One should always be compensation. If a good contract will have sub-endings, one should always be compensation. Read that down to the core. Read every single piece of that. Make sure you understand every single piece within it, how much you are to be owed and how much you are paying back. That has to be so well noted and appreciated, because if you don't know that much, you're fucked. Step 2, always read the termination. How can this contract be terminated? There'll be a few different ways. And one of the few that I always see, normally a contract will normally end with good performance, which would mean that it would end naturally, where it comes to the end of the term, both parties have been satisfied, game over. It's a normal contract ends like that. Some contracts can end via breaches. That's where you have to be so carefully and, how do I put this, so cautious. Some will end by breaches, which you might not find within a code of conduct in that contract. So you have to be very, very attentive. Another way that they can end is via notice terms. Always have your eyes peeled for those notice terms, because some will catch you by surprise. Never sign a contract that will say that X can terminate the contract immediately with no reason. Never sign to a contract where a team can drop you for no reason and have no grounding. That's an awful, awful idea. That is damaging in the long run. Do not do that. Another part now, I'm going to mention this here because a lot of the esports contracts that you'll see flying around the ecosystem are typically copy and paste ones that you find from the internet. And we all know how a lot of those end up going, because it's normally kids who have just picked them off the internet, plastered them up on a screen and went, this is ours. What I will recommend is that you make sure that if you sign a contract and it mentions a code of conduct, that there is a very visible code of conduct too, that there at least is one. Because a lot of contracts will ask you to obey a code of conduct, but when you go through that agreement, you will never find that code of conduct. So it's very hard for you to be held by it, but they can make it up as they go along, they would think. Always make sure if you're signing one that mentions a code of conduct, that there is one there. Because without it, it's literally a dog without teeth. You know, it's fucking pointless. Last but not least, be polite. Always be polite and be open. I know you may feel a little bit taken aback by some offers and you might think, wow, that's class. You might think that's an incredible offer. Always try and stay somewhat professional, because At that moment in time, you are your own agent, you are your own manager if you are talking directly with a team. You have to act professional at all times. If they even lowball you badly, don't disrespect them. Politely decline. There's so many easy ways to politely decline, and make sure that if it's a team that you ever really consider yourself in, that you always be polite and be courteous, even in a moment where they can't really make ends meet. In a good business offer, you should be able to walk away from the table at least twice. In good negotiations, if you aren't prepared to walk away at least twice, you were never really prepared to go in the first place. Always, always, always prepare yourself. Esports is not an easy industry. There are people out there to manipulate you. Use your parents, use your agents, use the people with genuine knowledge. Utilize those agencies that are there to help you. Utilize the knowledge that is available to you on the internet, via Google, via different databases when it comes to a company's actual standing. Always take care of yourself. That is so important. And remember, you do not need a team. Thank you. I think that's the best I can get out. I think that's the best I can offer. If you think I can make more videos like these, then be sure to let me know. This is just a how-to series. This is a how-to, I don't know, take in an offer, or how to talk with a business as such. I have no idea what I'm going to title the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're new around here, I'm going to try and help out as much people as I can, I suppose. I never want to think of myself as a person with that much knowledge. I want to think of myself as someone who's somewhat conditioned in this ecosystem. I want to help. But remember, I don't have all of that knowledge. If you need to get help, always approach the individuals, especially the one that I've linked in the description. He has that information. He is smart. He knows what he's doing. Please. But yeah. Thank you so much, lads. I appreciate everything so far. I'm up now, nearly at 600 subs. I'm not fucking complaining, huh? I'll catch you boys in the next video. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a business or brutal in a few days or not. I'm in exam season, so see how that one goes. Catch you in a bit. Peace.